All right, so let's talk about sleep or, well, lack of sleep. Insomnia.
Yeah.
You've reached out because it's been a real struggle lately. And you're looking for some advice, some actionable advice, things that you can actually do to get a better night's sleep.
Absolutely.
So we've rounded up a bunch of research and expert insights, and we're ready to unpack all of it so that you can finally reclaim those peaceful nights.
Yeah. You know, it's fascinating. So many people, I think, when they're trying to fix insomnia, they're focused on, how much they sleep. But the real key, I think, to feeling rested is, understanding your body's natural sleep-wake cycle and working with it, not against it.
Okay, so how do we actually do that? Where do we begin?
Well, one of the most powerful things you can do is establish a consistent sleep schedule. And this means going to bed and waking up at the same time every day, even on weekends.
Oh, no, weekends are made for sleeping in.
I know. But trust me on this one. Sticking to a consistent schedule, even if it's a bit later on those days, really helps regulate your body's internal clock, which is crucial for good sleep.
So our bodies crave that predictability.
Exactly. Our internal clock, it's called the circadian rhythm. It thrives on consistency. Think of it like a conductor leading an orchestra. If the timing is off, the whole symphony falls apart. And what's interesting is that research has shown that even a slight shift in your sleep schedule, like staying up even an extra hour or two on the weekends, can throw off your circadian rhythm and make it harder to fall asleep and wake up feeling refreshed.
Right. I never really realized how sensitive our bodies are to those shifts. So establishing that regular sleep-wake rhythm, it's like laying the foundation for a good night's sleep.
Precisely. It's like setting the stage for everything else that we're going to talk about. But speaking of setting the stage, let's move from time to space and talk about your sleep environment.
Ah, yes, the bedroom. I've heard that, creating a sleep sanctuary is really important. But beyond a comfy mattress, what does that actually entail?
Well, it's about paying attention to all your senses. Temperature, light, and sound play a huge role in how well you sleep. Ideally, you want your bedroom to be cool, dark, and quiet.
And when you say dark, how dark are we talking?
Research suggests that even the faintest light can disrupt your sleep. Think about that tiny LED light on your phone charger. That's enough to send signals to your brain that it's not time to sleep yet.
That's incredible. I had no idea our bodies were that sensitive to light.
Yeah, it's amazing, right? That's why blackout curtains are such a game changer. They block out street lights, moonlight, even that pesky charger light. And don't underestimate the power of a good white noise machine or earplugs to create a really peaceful sound environment. Even subtle noises can disrupt your sleep without you even realizing it.
Yeah, I'm a total white noise convert. I have to have my fan on year-round.
Yeah.
Even when it's freezing outside, it's become like my sleep essential.
It's all about finding what works for you. Maybe it's a diffuser with calming scents or a weighted blanket. Experiment and personalize your sleep space.
Now, on the topic of disrupting sleep, we have to talk about the digital elephant in the room. Screens.
Yeah.
The blue light emitted from our phones, tablets, and laptops.
That's a major sleep saboteur.
So is it just the brightness that keeps us awake? Or is there something else going on with this blue light?
Well, there's a fascinating science behind it. Blue light actually suppresses the production of melatonin, which is a hormone that tells your body it's time to sleep. So it's like your brain gets tricked into thinking it's still daytime.
Wow, I never knew that.
Yeah.
But wait, isn't some light exposure good for us in the morning to help us wake up?
Absolutely. That's where the timing comes in. Morning sunlight helps reset your circadian rhythm, making you feel more alert and energized. But exposure to blue light in the evening has the opposite effect. It delays the release of melatonin and pushes back your natural sleep time.
So what's the magic number? How long before bed should we ditch the screens?
Most sleep experts recommend at least an hour, but even 30 minutes can make a difference.
I'll admit, that one's a struggle for me. I am very guilty of the late night scrolling. Any tips for breaking that habit?
It's tough, I know. It's about retraining your brain. Maybe try replacing that screen time with something relaxing, like reading a book, taking a warm bath, or listening to calming music. Think of it as creating a buffer zone between your busy day and a peaceful night's sleep.
I love that, a buffer zone. It makes so much sense. We would go from, a sprint straight into a nap. So why do we expect our brains to switch from, high alert screen time to sleep instantly?
Exactly. Which brings us to another key element of good sleep hygiene, the wind down ritual. It's all about consciously transitioning from your active day to a state of relaxation.
Okay, so what does a good wind-down ritual actually look like?
It's different for everyone. Some people find that taking a warm bath helps them relax, while others prefer light stretching or meditation.
I swear, by a cup of chamomile tea and a good book before bed, it's amazing how such a simple routine can make such a difference in how easily I fall asleep.
Yeah, it's all about signaling to your body and mind that it's time to unwind.
All right, so we've covered the importance of a consistent sleep schedule, creating a relaxing sleep environment, and disconnecting from screens before bed. But what about the other things we do throughout the day? Can those impact our sleep as well?
Absolutely. Everything from what we eat and drink to how much we move our bodies can influence our sleep.
Okay, let's spill the beans. Or should I say, the sleep-sabotaging foods. What should we avoid?
You've probably heard it before, but it's worth repeating. Caffeine and alcohol are not your sleep BFFs. Even that afternoon cup of coffee can linger in your system for hours, making it harder to fall asleep. And while alcohol might make you drowsy initially, it actually disrupts your sleep cycles later in the night, leaving you feeling groggy and unrested.
So it's not just about what we do right before bed, but our choices throughout the day that contribute to a good night's sleep.
Precisely. Every decision you make, from that morning latte to that after-dinner drink, can influence how well you sleep that night.
Okay, so we've covered a few major sleep influencers there, like light routines and what we consume. But what about exercise? Doesn't working out always help you sleep better?
Well, that's actually a common misconception. While regular exercise is definitely fantastic for sleep, the timing of your workouts can make all the difference.
So there's a wrong time to exercise if you want to sleep well.
Well, here's the thing. Exercise raises your body temperature, and it releases hormones like adrenaline and cortisol, which make you feel more alert. That's great during the day, but not so much when you're trying to wind down for bed.
Oh, so that post-workout energy boost can actually backfire when it comes to sleep.
Exactly. If you exercise too close to bedtime, it can take hours for your body temperature and hormone levels to return to a sleep-friendly state.
Okay, so what's the ideal timing then for exercise if you are aiming for better sleep?
Most experts recommend finishing your workout at least 3 hours before bed. That gives your body enough time to cool down, and for those stimulating hormones to subside.
So maybe swap that late-night gym session for a morning run or a lunchtime yoga class.
Exactly. You'll still get all the amazing benefits of exercise, but without compromising your sleep.
Now let's shift gears a little bit and talk about another factor that can significantly impact sleep. Stress.
Yes. Stress and sleep. It's like a vicious cycle. You can't sleep because you're stressed, and then you're more stressed because you can't sleep.
It's a very common struggle. When we're stressed, our bodies go into that fight or flight mode, releasing hormones like cortisol that keep us alert and awake. This was super helpful for our ancestors, when they needed to escape a predator. But it's not so helpful when we're trying to fall asleep.
So how do we break that cycle? I mean, life is stressful. We can't just eliminate stress altogether.
You're right. Stress is definitely a part of life. But the key is finding healthy ways to manage it, especially when it comes to sleep.
Okay, so what works? What are some effective stress reduction techniques that can help us sleep better? Well, there's so many options, and it's really about finding what resonates with you. Mindfulness and meditation are fantastic for calming the mind and bringing awareness to the present moment.
I've heard great things about those.
Yeah.
But I've always struggled to quiet my mind. Any advice for a meditation newbie?
Start small. Even just 5 minutes a day can make a difference. There are also tons of guided meditations available online or through apps, which can be really helpful. But meditation isn't the only way to manage stress. Deep breathing exercises can be incredibly effective for calming the nervous system.
Okay, that sounds a little more manageable. I can definitely try some deep breathing. What about journaling? Can that help with sleep too?
Absolutely. Journaling before bed can be a great way to process your thoughts and emotions. Letting go of any worries or anxieties that might be keeping you awake.
So it's like clearing your mental inbox before you try to shut down for the night.
Precisely. It's about creating a sense of mental stillness before you drift off to sleep. We've talked a lot about what to do before bed, but there's also the question of what to do if you wake up in the middle of the night and can't get back to sleep.
Oh, that's the worst. What do you recommend for those middle of the night wake-ups?
Well, it might sound counterintuitive, but if you're lying in bed for more than 20 minutes and you still can't fall back asleep, get out of bed and do something relaxing until you feel sleepy again.
Really? So don't just lay there tossing and turning.
Nope. The goal is to break the association between your bed and wakefulness. If you lie in bed awake for too long, you start to condition your brain to see bed as a place of frustration and anxiety, which can make it even harder to fall asleep in the future.
So it's about resetting that mental connection. Bed is for sleep, not for stressing about sleep.
Exactly. Get out of bed, read a book, listen to calming music, maybe do some light stretching, anything that helps you relax. And only return to bed when you feel truly tired.
That's a great tip. Now, I know we've touched on a lot of different strategies so far, and it can feel a bit overwhelming. Like, where do I even start?
You're absolutely right. And it's important to remember that improving sleep is a journey, not a race. Don't try to implement every single tip at once. Start small. Choose 1 or 2 strategies that resonate with you, and focus on consistency.
So it's more about making small, sustainable changes, rather than going for a complete sleep overhaul overnight.
Exactly. Think of it as building healthy sleep habits over time. And remember, there's no such thing as perfect sleep. Everyone has nights where they toss and turn, or wake up earlier than planned. It's normal. Don't beat yourself up about it.
I think that's such an important reminder. We tend to be so hard on ourselves when it comes to sleep.
Absolutely. Be kind to yourself, celebrate the progress you make, and remember that even small improvements can make a big difference in how you feel throughout the day.
Okay, so we've talked about managing stress, the importance of exercise timing, the do's and don'ts of middle-of-the-night awakenings, and the importance of being patient and consistent. Anything else we should touch on before we wrap up this part of the deep dive?
Let's talk about naps. They can be a helpful tool, but there are definitely some strategic considerations.
Okay, nap time strategy session. I'm all ears.
Short naps around 20 to 30 minutes can actually boost alertness, improve mood, and even enhance cognitive function.
So a little midday power nap can be a good thing.
Exactly. But longer naps, or naps that occur too late in the day, can interfere with your nighttime sleep. They disrupt your natural sleep-wake cycle and can make it harder to fall asleep at your regular bedtime.
So it's all about timing and keeping those naps short and sweet.
Precisely. Think of naps as a strategic tool to enhance your energy and alertness, not a replacement for good night's sleep.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground in this part of our Sleep Deep Dive. From stress management techniques and the timing of exercise, to strategic napping and the art of the middle-of-the-night reset. Ready to move on to some final thoughts and takeaways?
Absolutely. Let's wrap it all up.
We've covered a lot of ground in our deep dive into insomnia, but it feels like we've only scratched the surface. There's just so much to learn about sleep and how it impacts our overall well-being.
Yeah, it really is a fascinating field. And the more we understand about sleep, the more we realize just how crucial it is for our physical and mental health.
Totally. But before we wrap up, are there any other tools or strategies you think are important to mention, for those who are really struggling with insomnia?
One thing we haven't talked about yet is keeping a sleep diary.
A sleep diary? Is that like a dream journal?
Not quite. It's more about tracking your sleep patterns and habits so you can start to identify potential triggers and patterns.
Okay, so what kind of things would you track in a sleep diary?
Well, you'd want to note your bedtime and wake-up time, how long it takes you to fall asleep, how many times you wake up during the night, and the overall quality of your sleep. You can also track things like caffeine and alcohol intake, exercise timing, and any medications you're taking.
It's almost like becoming a sleep detective.
Exactly. By gathering this data, you can start to see connections between your daytime habits and your nighttime sleep. And once you know what's impacting your sleep, you can start to make targeted changes.
That makes so much sense. It's like taking a data-driven approach to sleep improvement.
Precisely. Now, if you've tried various lifestyle changes and strategies, but you're still struggling with insomnia, it might be time to consider professional help.
Okay, so when does DIY sleep improvement become a seek professional help situation?
If you've been dealing with insomnia for several weeks or months and it's significantly impacting your daily life, it's definitely worth reaching out to a sleep specialist.
And what kind of help can a sleep specialist offer?
Well, they can help rule out any underlying medical conditions that might be contributing to your insomnia, such as sleep apnea, restless leg syndrome, or thyroid issues. They can also recommend specific treatments, like cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia or CBTI.
I've heard of CBTI. What exactly does it involve?
CBTI is a type of therapy that helps you identify and change the thoughts and behaviors that are contributing to your insomnia. It often includes techniques like sleep restriction, stimulus control, and relaxation training.
So it's like retraining your brain to have a healthier relationship with sleep.
Exactly. And it's been shown to be incredibly effective for treating chronic insomnia. Now, I know some people might be hesitant to seek professional help for sleep problems, but it's important to remember that insomnia is a real medical condition, and there's no shame in seeking support.
That's such an important message. Sleep is so fundamental to our well-being, and there's no need to suffer in silence.
Absolutely. Now, before we wrap up, I want to address the topic of sleep aids.
Yes, those over-the-counter sleep aids can be so tempting when you're desperate for a good night's rest.
I understand the appeal, but it's important to use them with caution. While they might provide temporary relief, they're not a long-term solution for insomnia.
What are the potential downsides of relying on sleep aids?
Well, one concern is that they can become habit-forming. You might start to rely on them to fall asleep, which can make it even harder to sleep naturally without them. Also, they can mask underlying sleep issues that need to be addressed.
So it's like putting a Band-Aid on a bigger problem.
Exactly. If you're considering medication for sleep, it's essential to talk to your doctor to weigh the risks and benefits and explore other options.
Great advice. So as we wrap up this deep dive into conquering insomnia, what are some key takeaways you want our listener to remember?
First and foremost, prioritize sleep. It's not a luxury, it's essential for your physical and mental well-being.
I think we've definitely established that.
Second, remember that good sleep is holistic. It's about paying attention to all aspects of your life, not just what happens in the hour before bed.
So true. It's about the routines, the environment, the food, the exercise, the stress management. It all plays a role.
Exactly. And third, be patient with yourself. Improving sleep takes time and effort. There's no magic bullet.
I think that's such an important reminder. We tend to get discouraged if we don't see results immediately, but lasting change takes time and consistency.
Absolutely. Celebrate the small wins and remember that even gradual progress is still progress.
Well, I think we've covered just about everything. Any final words of wisdom for our listener before we say goodnight?
Just this, remember that you deserve restful nights and there are steps you can take to reclaim them.
Beautifully said. So to wrap things up, if insomnia has been stealing your sleep, don't despair. Remember all the tools and strategies we've discussed today, from establishing a consistent sleep schedule and creating a relaxing sleep sanctuary, to managing stress levels and seeking professional support if needed.
And don't underestimate the power of those small, consistent changes over time. They can make a world of difference.
As for tonight, think about one small step you can take towards better sleep. Maybe it's putting your phone away an hour before bed, or trying a quick relaxation technique, or maybe it's simply acknowledging that sleep is a priority and committing to making it a bigger part of your self-care routine.
Whatever it is, embrace it and trust that with time and effort, you can reclaim those peaceful nights.
We'll leave you with that thought. Sweet dreams.